Talent Playbook, from mastering remote teams to leveraging data analytics.
We're going to be talking about the Talent Playbook and fundamentally what tools you need in your toolkit to really prepare you for future-proofing your HR and talent strategy. I'm Adam. I run A1 Talent. We're a boutique HR and recruitment consultancy based here in Malta, and we operate globally. I'll move over quickly to my esteemed panel.
Hi everyone, I'm Cordelia and I'm the founder and CEO of CMC Consulting. We're a boutique HR and recruitment consultancy business. We started in Malta, but we've moved further afield and now cover the global market. We operate within iGaming, technology, and then also emerging tech. Really looking forward to the discussion today.
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. My name is Pavel Yurovitskiy. I'm CEO of Kid Global. We are a two-sides marketing platform, operate in different countries, but with a focus on emerging markets like Asia, Latin America, and others. We have more than 1,000 team members all over the world, and talent acquisition, one of the biggest challenge for us, so it's really interesting discussion. Thanks, guys, for inviting.
Welcome. Mauro?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mauro. I founded Finance Partners. It is an accounting firm centered around the iGaming industry. I mean, we grew our basically clients, and from there we took on the recruitment side. We opened a recruitment branch, Get Recruited Worldwide, which is solely focused and dedicated to the iGaming and the fintech sector.
Hey, thank you. I'm Marvin Cuschieri. I work for Logifuture, leading B2B provider, especially in Africa and Latin America. We have offices in over eight countries, so I look forward to the discussion and all around the topics that we're going to discuss today. Thank you.
Okay, so to kick things off, so with more and more businesses going remote, how should businesses be adapting and working with their onboarding processes? Cordelia, have you got any thoughts on that topic?
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting topic, and I think it's one where there's no one size fits all. I think it's totally dependent on the size and also the budgets of the business. What I would always say as a kind of rule of thumb is for more junior teams, it's to try and onboard them in person. I've had a number of clients that have actually run kind of sales academies face-to-face for the first 2 to 4 weeks of the onboarding, and then after that they go fully remote. I think the challenge is with remote working that it's often much harder to be able to create a learning and development kind of stream for new starters. And if I also think back to when I first started in my sales career, I would have been terrified to pick up the phone and take my first business development call from home, sat on my own. Instead, I was in a sales office with 100 people being able to listen to their calls. So I think it's really important that businesses are able to create those types of environments, but remotely, whether it's with technology, whether it's with the help of AI, or whether it's by building these, kind of in-person sales meetings.
Okay, Pavel, what's your take on that? Because obviously onboarding is arguably the key element of hiring for any business. You run a business, multiple locations, different cultures. How has remote working affected you, or what considerations would you look to implement versus hiring remote staff versus on-site? What's your take?
I think that good people and also talents, it's really hard to find the best ones. And remote work, it's one of our advantage for talents. But onboarding process, much more difficult than when everybody in one office. So it's a challenge for our managers, and our vision is to create more compact teams with a manager who just operate with 5-6 team members. It's much easier to operate them remotely, and of course a lot of IT services, analytics and others for our managers to understand who working really good and services that help our team members on board.
Mauro, company culture. What are the challenges of building a strong culture when you're hiring talent remotely?
Of course. So that's a very interesting question in terms of culture. I mean, when people are working remotely nowadays, you need to forget about the working time aspect and move forward to an outcome-based approach. I mean, you need to look into the results, the impact that they have on the company, and at the same time, see that, in terms of flexibility, if the employee requires some personal time off during the workday, you understand and see that this is catered for, because at the end of the day, I mean, the employee is not even, coming to an office. He's self-responsible for his work, and he needs to see, or she needs to see that the work is actually being carried out. So I think this is more important nowadays, that you focus more on the outcome of what is being delivered, especially in a remote culture organization.
Yeah, and I think just to jump in there, the real focus of remote working needs to be on accountability and trust. If you don't trust your workforce, then it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to work fully remotely. But what I've seen be most successful in remote businesses is that it's not based on the hours that you work, but it's more on the output that you deliver. And I think that that's a really important kind of HR theme for any business that are looking to become less office focused and more hybrid or remote.
Just to add a bit on this as well, from the onboarding side, I think what is imperative is that we also move the discussion from the remote aspect, but also what we as companies are doing to ensure that the remote is actually working. And particular case in point is, and something which we as Logifuture invested a lot, is the role of the line manager. Because the line manager, most of them do not come from a background of working remote themselves. And today, 4 or 5 years post-COVID, we need to empower them to ensure that they are making the part from their end, the remote working part from their end, with their direct reports working properly. It's a challenge. It's not something which is easily addressed. Obviously, training. I mean, we also focus a lot, for example, on monthly meetings where we use case studies, ad hoc case studies, obviously without going too much detail, but listen, what could have done better to ensure that the remote worker, the remote contractor, be it what it is, we make sure that he or she continues being part of the journey. Yeah? It's very easy that somebody gets onboarded and then is left alone. And we've had cases like this, and it's important that we continue making sure that these cases are minimized. For obviously, you invest a lot of time, especially we work in tech, we invest a lot of time to find that particular profile, persona, and you don't want to lose him or her because that onboarding procedure was not done properly, both from what you guys are saying, the culture, etc., but especially the line manager and how he or she is handling that relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to consider that a lot of people want to work fully remotely, but not everybody is able to work fully remotely. For some people, the distractions are just too much, and they would actually be better suited to working in an office. So I think this also comes down to recruitment processes, and as hiring managers, how you can spot whether somebody is actually equipped and able to handle the responsibility of working from home 24/7.
Just going to throw this one out to the floor. Trust. And I think the big one is trust goes both ways. So a lot of businesses, when they approach remote work, they think about, okay, how can I trust my employees? Obviously, the employees have got to trust the business as well. So I'm keen to get your thoughts on that and how you can build that trust pathway both ways.
I think something that we should consider here is to give the employee a fail-forward sort of approach, in the way that you encourage the employee to go the extra mile and basically take on more challenges, and is not afraid basically to try something different that could be actually of benefit to the company. So I think when working remotely, rather giving us a predefined set of tasks and people need to stick to these, you need to literally embrace innovation. And something that comes in, of course, when this embracing innovation is setting the culture of the company.
Yeah. Something on... Okay?
Yeah, Marvin?
So something what Mauro mentioned, and I would like to elaborate a bit more, is maybe the audience is following as well what's happening. I mean, some companies are trying to pull back, yeah? Amazon, Bolt, these are last few weeks have made statements, listen, we want to bring back people at the office. At the same time, you have companies like Spotify who have been very, very clear. I mean, we are dealing with grown-ups. Let's stop dealing with them as kids. So we need to understand as well that you invest a lot in getting these guys. Most of them are highly profiled people with lots of experience, because that's why you want to go that extra step of engaging them in a remote. Most of these guys get a lot of offers as well. So they are adults. We need to treat them as such. So trust needs to be as well something which companies work a bit more, have the structures to ensure that there's as much as possible, what Mauro is saying, two-way discussions, and also follow-ups, because it's also something that is very important.
I think also communication is really key, and that also has to go both ways. So I've seen with some of the clients I work with that are fully remote, it'll either be things like, updating your Slack status when you're having lunch, so you don't have someone pinging you asking where you are. If you're out on holiday, if you're at a doctor's appointment, to just update your status. I think the challenge can be that when someone is perceived to not be at their desk, you can also start to lose the trust. But in the same way that if you were physically in an office, you would go to the bathroom, you would grab a coffee, you would be having lunch. And I think that you're trying to replicate the office environment at home. So anything that you can do there to kind of communicate and sometimes over-communicate, that's also really important in building and maintaining the trust.
Yeah, just building on that, employee well-being, hot topic at the moment. And I think the growth in remote has definitely shone a light on it. How do businesses ensure employee well-being that have some or all of their workforce working remotely? What kind of tools can they deploy to really ensure they're looking after their staff? Pavel, you've got?
Yeah, so in our experience, there are two parts of this problem. First of all, it's about performance of our employees. And to understand it, we use a system of KPIs and performance review every quarter. And I think that it's the most important thing, because it doesn't matter how many hours you work. The main question is results. The main question is performance. So we use this method to understand how our team members work. The second part is engagement. And we created online and offline environment to engage our team members together. If we talk about online part, it's a lot of chats, online events to exchange experience, exchange emotions between each others. And of course, very important part, offline. We have offices in different locations, and in every our office we have a lot of common space to make meetings, to make some offline events. It's opportunity for everybody to visit our physical offices and meet each other, and it helps them to work with each other better. Thanks.
I would also add, because sometimes we have the narrative that remote is somewhere far away, we never see this person, etc. It doesn't need to be like this. So in the sense, we do events which are office specific, and we fly people in, to ensure that the employee experience is there, that they remain engaged. We try to push as well once or twice team meetings in one of our offices to, as much as possible, do not differentiate between somebody who's employed within a particular location or office and somebody who is a remote worker. We have remote workers who are line managers managing office workers. But that's nothing out of the norm nowadays. We need to make sure that that relationship works properly. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say that a happy workforce is a more engaged workforce. So whatever businesses can do to kind of drive general happiness, it can be as simple as just checking in to see how somebody is, but it can also be about making work and the working environment fun, whether it's online pub quizzes if you're a remote business, whether it's organizing a step challenge to encourage people to be out and about more. I think it's also part of HR's responsibility to help to be able to drive these positive initiatives, but also to encourage positive work routines. So saying to people that it's okay in the evening to turn your Slack off, it's okay when you're on holiday to mute everything, even delete Slack if it means that you're going to have a proper break. And I think that that's really, really important, because with the move to fully remote, a lot of people have this anxiety that they need to be online and working all of the time, and that actually isn't a thing. You can't be effective 24 hours of the day. So take the time, go for a walk, have a glass of water, whatever it is at kind of the basic level, because those things will also, you know, support the employees with, you know, general happiness and well-being.
Thank you. Yeah, good point. If we move on from remote working and we talk more about emerging technology in HR and talent management and even recruitment as well, how are businesses kind of taking advantage of data and analytics when it comes to talent and recruitment and HR? Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. Recently, I mean, over the last year now, because we're closing the year, basically, we've seen HR personnel in different firms set up internally their own, even through our assistant setup. For example, a self-service portal, in the sense that if an employee wants a contract, instead of asking the HR, there is a self-service portal, there is the contract, there are the policies, and he can enter this portal. So basically, it reduces the time spent back and forth between HR, the payroll manager, and so on. I mean, this is also seen nowadays with chatbots, for example, in the HR side, because there are some chatbots that can answer some company policies that are very generic in terms, I don't know, what is my leave entitlement? And these small things, especially in a large organization that is working remotely, are very time consuming. So setting them up in the beginning, investing in the right systems, I think it is one of the things that we are seeing nowadays in the companies.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, we also need to think a bit more as well what's happening around us. I mean, the buzzword is AI always. So, and providers, software providers are obviously embedding AI, spelling it. If it's truly AI or not, that's a separate question. However, you know, it's up to HR to make sure that as much as possible the mundane tasks are done via technology, you know, so that we have more time to focus on the teams we were discussing earlier. In fact, some of my team is here. We for recruitment, AI is already starting to generate a lot of benefits, you know, because it can easily skim through, you know, highlight profiles. Obviously, you still need to keep an eye on it. It's not always accurate, but at least what used to take a couple of hours now is taking less than an hour. So that's one thing. I would also suggest, as much as possible, those people working within the HR world need to go outside as well, their own bubbles, because I think sometimes we do stay a bit in our bubble. Case in point is, last Monday, there was an interesting B2B workshop at the Excelsior, you know, and they were discussing, for example, ROI on events, of how they use technology to measure ROI. So if HR takes some of what's happening in other industries and tries to apply it, for example, events, employee branding, how I'm using technology to make sure that what I'm doing makes sense, or how I can tweak better, I think that's something which we need to work a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just to echo what you said, AI at the moment is there to support HR when it comes to the more basic bits of, you know, an HR role, where it could be drafting contracts, more of the kind of mundane tasks. I think HR's responsibility is to be able to be out there with the people, speaking to the people, understanding their challenges, because I've not met any AI software yet that is able to have a human-led conversation around specific challenges. We're not there yet. I know Adam and I, we were on a panel discussing this last year. We're definitely not there yet, which I'm pleased to see, but I think there's definitely a way for AI to go, but the way that it's able to support us right now gives us more time to spend it with the people.
Yeah, for now, we've all still got a job, so let's celebrate that. And thanks for listening. That's about all we've got time for. Thank you to the panel, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much as well.